Hi guys, it's Jamie here at Crafted Landscapes. This short time-lapse video is going to show you how I built a bespoke garden arch. Obviously, the first thing you need to do before building your arch is deciding where it's going to be located. Once you've done this, it might be handy to do a bit of a sketch. Maybe you could take a photograph and sketch over it, and it'll help you understand how the arch is going to look in its surrounding context. Once you know the location, you want to look at how big and wide the archway is going to be. This will give you a rough idea on how many intermittent posts you need to put in to support the logs and how many logs you're actually going to require to fill those gaps. Now that you've planned out how big your archway is going to be and where it's located, you're obviously going to require the materials to build it. So using those measurements that you've taken, work out how much timber you need to put the support posts in. In this example, I'm using oak sleepers cut into shape. So a standard sleeper is 200 by 100. I've cut those in half, so I've got 100 by 100 posts. You're going to need something to form the actual archway curve, which I've used 10mm reinforcement bar. They're in 3 meter sections. You're going to need sand and ballast. You're going to need ballast and cement to concrete the posts in place. So all of those bits and pieces, go down to your local buildings merchant and get a price and get those delivered to site. Now that you've got your materials to site, you can start working and building the archway. The first stage is digging out the holes for the posts. Now you want to mark these out using either a spray paint, or you can just mark it with your spade in the ground, and ensure that the posts either side of the archway are parallel from each other. You can do this by using a string line. Now that you've excavated your holes, it's time to cut your posts. I'm using oak posts here, and as you can see, I've chamfered the tops by adding a 45-degree cut. This just adds a little bit more detail, makes them look more attractive. So now that all your posts have been cut, it's time to start concreting them in place. Obviously, before doing this, you need to check the levels and ensure they are upright and equal distances apart. This can be a little bit tricky on your own, so getting help from somebody else would be a great advantage. If you haven't got any help, then you can always nail on a timber strut and use that by pushing into the ground and keeping it in place upright and level. Let the concrete cure for a couple of days if possible to ensure that your posts have gone off well and are solid. And now it's time to start creating the archway. As you will see from the time-lapse videos, it was a little bit tricky to create this archway, and I did try several different ways of constructing this. Firstly, I tried to drill the tops of the oak posts, inserting the 10mm reinforcement bar into those holes and bending it over. This proved a little bit problematic where the steel rebar is so rigid. I couldn't actually get it to fit into the holes and hold in place, and it was very tricky trying to get each archway exactly the same in its curvature, so I had to go back to the drawing board and try something else. It would be useful to have two people when fixing the rebar. If you've ever tried to bend it over before, its natural way of movement is trying to go in the opposite direction. So I got around this by using a strop, place that round the other side and pulled the bar into place, tightening each time to get it to the right position. And then stapled it. But as I say, it's very difficult to do this on your own. If you had someone holding it in place whilst you was nailing, it would make things a little easier. Now it's time for the fun bit, stacking the logs. This is pretty self-explanatory, but what I tried to do when sourcing the logs was getting sections of timber that are at varied diameters, but the most important part is ensuring every piece of timber is the same length. I wanted to have a flush face on either side of the archway, and we did this by cutting every section with a large saw, circular saw. This achieved a nice level and straight cut, and it gives a uniformed style. As you will notice on the archway, I've tried to put the larger diameter logs at the bottom of the log stacks between the posts. Gradually the sizes vary as you come up the pile, but the actual timber across the archway, I've actually had to split some of the timbers into rounds which are a little bit more squarish and angular. This helped hold the timber in place, because I noticed when putting the circular sections on top of the arch, they were tending to roll a little bit and move around, but where they're squarish, they lock into place and hold their position very well. Overall, this has been a really fun project to build. It's quite a simple build if you've got the right materials, a little bit of help from some friends, and it creates a very unique garden feature that will be great for the natural wildlife, bugs and insects, and also looks the part in any outdoor space. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful for you and inspired you to do some creative landscaping within your garden. If you want to find out more about crafted landscapes, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and of course YouTube. Feel free to subscribe or follow us. And if you want to come and visit us on our website, it's www.craftedlandscapes.co.uk. Cheers.